Complex fractions look a lot more complicated than they are. The annoying thing about complex fractions is that basically it's 3 problems in one. So on the top, if I just cover up the bottom, that's an addition problem. And we know how to get common denominators and simplify an addition problem. On the bottom, it's another addition problem, and we know how to get common denominators and combine those together. Then, what does this symbol in the middle mean? It means divide, so it's the top divided by the bottom, and we know how to do a division problem. So basically, it's 2 addition problems and then a division problem. It's 3 parts. So here's how we're going to start. On the top, we have x over 5 plus 4. 4 is not a fraction, so I'm going to put it over 1 to make it look like a fraction. This is actually one of the easiest addition problems that you'll see because it's the most similar to what you did in like elementary and middle school. So, do you agree that this 5 already has a times 1 in front of it? Because multiplying by 1 doesn't really change anything. Over here, this denominator does not have a 5. So this denominator needs a 5. So times 5 on the bottom times 5 on the top. Now we have x over 5 plus 20 over 5. Our denominators match, so now we can add our numerators. What is x plus 20? X plus 20. This is our simplified top. We took the top, which was 2 things, and simplified it into one rational expression, one fraction. And let's do the same thing on the bottom. The bottom is 8, so 8 over 1 plus 1 over x. What number is already in front of this x, even though you can't see it? A 1. So they both have a 1 in the denominator. What does the left denominator not have? An x. So we need to multiply in an x on the bottom and the top. Now the denominators match, so we can do 8x plus 1 over 1x. Okay, I simplified the top, I simplified the bottom. Now we need to deal with the division. But when we're dealing with fractions, we do not divide. Instead of dividing, we multiply by the reciprocal. With division, you keep the first, so we're going to keep the top the same, x plus 20 over 5. We flip the second, so we take the 8x plus 1 over x. We need to flip that, so it'll be x over 8x plus 1. And we change the division sign to a multiplication sign. And then our answer, because this is multiplication, this is the entire numerator multiplied together, the entire denominator. Let's leave it factored. Let's do x parentheses x plus 20 equals 5 parentheses 8x plus 1. That's our answer. I would like you to try number 8 on your own. Simplify the top by getting common denominators. Simplify the bottom by finding common denominators. And then do the division problem by keeping the first, flipping the second, changing the sign to multiply. KFC. Pause the video. Okay, so for the top, to make them match, we need to multiply this fraction by 5. That will give us x plus 2 over 5 minus 25 over 5. So combining our like terms, 2 and negative 25 would be negative 23. So x minus 23 over 5. That is the simplified top. For the bottom, to make them match, we need an x on the first one. That will give us 8x plus 4 over x. And then for the division, we need to keep the top the same, flip the bottom, and change the sign to multiply. And our final answer would be x times x minus 23 over 5 times the quantity 8x plus 4. Okay, number 10. On the top, we need to factor the numerator of the top. So factor the top of the top. X squared plus 8x plus 16. What numbers multiply to give us 16 and add up to 8? 4 and 4. And the bottom of the top is already factored, x plus 2. So that is the factored version of the top of our complex fraction. The bottom of our complex fraction looks like we're going to have to factor both the numerator and the denominator. So for the numerator, two numbers that multiply to give us 8 and add up to 6. 4 and 2. On the bottom, x squared minus 4, how does that factor? It's a difference of 2 squares, if that helps. X plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, in either the top or the bottom, is there anything that would cancel out of this expression for the top? Does the x plus 2 match anything up here? No. How about the bottom? Is there anything here that cancels out? There's an x plus 2 that will cancel out. So our simplified bottom is x plus 4 over x minus 2. The last step with complex fractions is to do the division part. The division is the top divided by the bottom. But we don't divide with fractions. Instead, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we leave the top the same. Instead of dividing, we multiply by the reciprocal, which means flip the bottom. Once we write it as a multiplication problem, now these three things are all part of the numerator, and these two things are all part of the denominator. So is there anything in the numerator, any of those three things, that matches any of these two things in the denominator that could cancel? There's an x plus 4. That will cancel. So our final answer, our final simplified complex fraction, is x plus 4 times x minus 2 over x plus 2.